evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Council for the Town of Petawawa to order for May 19, 2026. Welcome to members of Council, staff, and our special guest in the audience today. We'll begin this meeting with the reading of the land acknowledgement, and this evening it is Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We acknowledge that the town of Petawawa was incorporated on the traditional, unceded, unsurrendered Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory in 1865, just 8 years before Reserve Number 39 was established at Golden Lake. We recognize Petawawa's long history, which predates the first arrival of colonists as early as the 1613, and its significance to the indigenous people who live and continue to live upon it and whose spiritual practices are tied to this land. We commit to understanding the profound impact and harm of colonization, honoring indigenous rights, embracing reconciliation, and core responsibility. We further commit to honoring the reconciliation process by learning about the 7 grandfather teachings of love, respect, bravery, truth, honesty, humility, and wisdom, and applying these lessons to our stewardship of this land.
Thank you, Councillor Roots. And now I'd ask everybody in attendance to please join me in standing for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. I need an approval for this evening's meeting. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the agenda for the May 19, 2026 regular meeting of Council be adopted as presented. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest in any of this evening's matters? Then we'll go to the approval of minutes of the Council meeting for May 4th, 2026. I need a motion to approve. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that the minutes of the regular meeting of Council held May 4th, 2026 be approved as printed and circulated. Any questions, concerns about minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. There's no presentations, so we'll move right into bylaws. Our first bylaw this evening is bylaw 1834/26, being a bylaw to establish a municipal alcohol policy for the corporation of the town of Petawawa. I need a motion for the first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that bylaw 1834/26, being a bylaw to establish a municipal alcohol policy for the corporation of the town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1834/26, being a bylaw to establish a municipal alcohol policy for the corporation of the Town of Petawawa, be read first and second time this 19th day of May 2026.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1834/26. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that bylaw 1834/26 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions or concerns? Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In reference to Regulation 3.0 alcohol service in-house, I would like to thank the staff for adding the clause that states where feasible, a selection of locally manufactured alcohol products will be stocked. It is my understanding that if, of course, there are no locally established businesses that manufacture alcohol, that would not occur, but the efforts definitely appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1834/26, being a bylaw to establish a municipal alcohol policy for the corporation of the Town of Petawawa, be read the third time and passed. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1834/26 this 19th day of May 2026.
Next, we have bylaw 1835/26, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1788/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers for the town of Petawawa. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1835/26, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1788/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers for the town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1835/26, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1788/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers for the Town of Petawawa, be read first and second time this 19th day of May 2026.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1835/26. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabra, that bylaw 1835/26 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions or concerns? Deputy Mayor? No questions or concerns?
Ahead of myself.
Any questions or concerns on the bylaw? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1835/26, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1788/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers for the Town of Petawawa, be read the third time and passed. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1835/26 this 19th day of May 2026.
Okay. Next, we have correspondence. We've received a letter from Dr. Alan Hepburn and Byron Ostrom about hydropower concerns and a possible proposed amendment to the Town of Petawawa official plan. So I hope everybody had a chance to look through this. Dr. Hepburn and Mr. Ostrom are requesting the council consider amending section 3.24, item 2, paragraph B of the town's official plan in response to the Ministry of Energy and Mines directive to the independent electricity system operator to procure 200 to 250 megawatts of new hydroelectric generation on Ontario's rivers. They've requested of council that section be reworded as follows: to support and encourage alternative energy systems and renewable energy sources for both residential and non-residential developments, excluding hydropower development, of which council has concluded is not in the town's best interest. So just before I open this up for questions from members of council, we had some discussions earlier regarding this correspondence, and we checked up on the provincial policy statement. If it's okay, I'll just ask Melanie Shearer, our Director of Planning, just to read a paragraph from the provincial policy statement.
Okay. Section 3.8 of the provincial planning statement released in 2024 states, planning authorities should provide opportunities for the development of energy supply, including electricity generation facilities and transmission and distribution systems, energy storage systems, direct energy, renewable energy systems, and alternative energy systems to accommodate current and projected needs. And the definition of renewable energy in the definition section of the provincial planning statement includes electricity generated by water.
Thanks for reading that. I think the key word in that paragraph from the province is should, not shall. So the province is asking municipalities to, I guess, keep an open mind and allow for different types. And as we've seen before, we've had several presentations from people recommending potential hydroelectric projects on the Petawawa River. All of them, their first step is to require a municipal letter of support for them to even proceed to the next step. So it's always under council's control how far we proceed with any of these. And I think we're kind of down to the provincial policy statement. And again, the ultimate decision rests with us. And I feel confident that this council and future councils would only do what's right for the town. Okay, I'll open it up for comments from members of council. Councillor Kerman.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I would definitely support doing something along these lines. I was unsure as to whether the proposed wording was kosher or correct, or whether it would fit in with the provincial policy statements or whatever, but There's got to be something we can do that would specify that Petawawa is an inhospitable host for hydropower development on the Petawawa River. There was such a huge backlash to it the last time that it happened that I can say with complete confidence that this community does not want to sacrifice their lovely river for the sake of a measly few megawatts of power that they're going to get out of it on a very irregular basis, like mostly in the spring of the year when there's actually water in the river to generate power. And the rest of the time, what's going to happen is just going to be a construction project that's supplying very little power and making our river look not so nice and reducing recreation opportunities for the current users of the river. And I would certainly like to follow up on this idea of altering or making modifications to our official plan or to wherever they're appropriate to declare that Petawawa is an inhospitable environment, because we know full well that the province can at any given time strip the municipality of whatever powers we happen to have and decide that they're going to have it their way, as they did the last time when they stripped us of all planning authority to have any say at all in hydroelectric generation developments on the Petawawa. We had absolutely nothing we could do. Zeneca came along. They were a legitimate corporation developing power at the bidding of the provincial government. And who are we to say no? But at least in this case, if we do something like this, we kind of set some groundwork that we don't want our river to be destroyed. You think?
Deputy Mayor Savin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly it does say should as opposed to shall and must. And I think, in reference to Councillor Carmody, I was sitting around this table when Zeneca came and talked about the weir development and whatnot. And we definitely had quite a backlash of, not a backlash, sorry, a number of valid concerns brought to our attention for us to consider. I'm a little bit concerned about excluding hydropower at this point with the development of better ways of doing things, more efficient ways of doing things, smaller footprints, all of that kind of thing. I don't know what the future holds. So I definitely think we should keep our options open. But again, part of our requirement as members of council is to ensure that we are representing the people, we are representing the concerns of our residents, and we are doing what is in the best interest of the town. And I think that as long as we continue to model using those three principles, I feel okay with going along without this amendment of the clause. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mr. Service. I'm really grateful for this correspondence. I think it summarized really well what a reasonable position is on hydroelectric power in Petawawa. We have so much recreation going on the river besides all the other uses for scenery. But my concern specifically about changing the official plan, and I'd love to hear Melanie's opinion on this, is the risk of inviting, say, an appeal or a ministerial override. So if we have an official plan that's inconsistent with provincial policy statements, that could be grounds for the developer to combat our decision that way. And I'm worried about that. I feel like it might be a stronger position just to rip off the appeal each time it comes forward, and then you're not being accused of being prejudiced against this development. And I agree it would be really unpopular, and no council who wanted to keep their seat would vote in favor of hydroelectric power that would disrupt all the recreation and the beauty of the river. But I'd love to hear Melanie's opinion on that first.
Melanie, would you like to weigh in? Or do you need to do some further research?
You know, we could look into this further, but the first step is that municipal support resolution from council for any kind of projects submitted to IESO. We've had no one come forward about hydroelectric in Petawawa to date. nothing to me at all. So I don't know what's circulating out there. There could be somebody waiting to come forward. But at that point, I'd be prepared to look, to talk more with the IESO and see really what our options are. I do sit in on the IESO webinars, and I know that in this full support resolution that you support the actual project. It means you support looking into the project, and you still have to go through, approval avenues. So the word municipal support resolution is a little misleading, and that's not exactly supporting approval of the project, it's supporting looking into the project. But that's kind of where I'm at in terms of, what we're able to do with any projects we come forward.
Thank you. Councilor Gunn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say I concur with my colleagues who have spoken already. I know on my part, my heritage and my quality of life are tied to that river. It provides us not only recreation, but the opportunity to become a community and share in that recreation. I like the wording in this. Definitely willing to bow to the appropriate way to address this. We can certainly do it as it comes to council, or if we're possible to change here without any large flashback in terms of how we worded our statement. So yeah, I concur. We should not do that.
Thank you. Councilor Driscoll?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with what everyone already said. I don't think there will be any public support for this, and I think any council that deals with this out of time comes, it's not going to go any farther than that. You won't get support from council. So if the wording, if Melanie thinks the wording is fine and the rest can stop, I'm fine with keeping the same wording. And every time it were to come, then there would be a no from me for sure, but from anybody else, hopefully it's going to come to the table.
Councilor Ruth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think everything's been said that I would say as well, but I support exactly what everyone else is saying.
Councilor Kern?
Thank you, Mayor Service. Just a question for Melanie concerning the letter of support from the municipality. Let's say the municipality decided that, okay, we're not granting a letter of support. So we're not even going to look into this. Then the proponent, I suspect, can carry on, right? Remember the last time planning authority was stripped from municipality, basically the proponents could have developed without even consulting the municipality. This time they have to consult the municipality. However, what weight does our judgment carry in this case?
I would have to look into that. I can't answer that question tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? I will say that about 3 years ago, there was an entity that came and was talking about hydro development on the Petawawa River, but they never took it even a step further to come before council. So it was just a presentation to the CAO and myself. And there was talk of coming to council, there was talk of a letter of municipal support, but they never took that next step. So they just kind of disappeared, so who knows whatever happened with that. But in the end, had that come to council, it would have had to met with council's approval before it took that next step. So I'm comfortable in thinking the present council and future councils knowing the ramifications of what it might mean to our river and putting any kind of permanent dam structure on our river and the backlash that would create, that any council at present or in the future will ensure that we protect our citizens' rights to the Petawawa River. So I think what I'm hearing is that at this moment, unless Melanie does some further research and finds out that maybe we can reword it, but it's looking like at this present time that the present wording we have in our official plan is okay, and that we'll lean on the council and their good faith in terms of any future hydroelectric project on the Petawawa River. Everybody's good with that? Okay. Thanks again. for the letter, and thanks, Melanie. Okay, next we have a letter of appreciation from Alan Wren, Chair of the Pembroke and Area Airport Commission. Alan Wren was just reaching out to council and to staff to say thanks for all of the work that our planning department has done at the airport recently in terms of potential developments that are going on there. So thanks and congratulations to Melanie and our entire planning department for all their hard work being recognized for the year. And we'll receive that letter as information. Okay, next we'll go to some minutes. We have minutes from the council and committee meeting, May 11, 2026. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held on May 11, 2026 be accepted by council, and that resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council. Are there any questions, concerns on the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Petawawa Business Advisory Network of March 3rd, 2026. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Ritz, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the Petawawa Business Advisory Network meeting held on March 3rd, 2026 be adopted as information. Councillor Ritz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have spoken to Giselle about everything that's pertaining to those minutes. I just want to again bring and refresh your memories here and remind you of the big events coming up here for the year. So we have the Ottawa Valley Food Fest, May 30th and 31st. We have Chris Mantis' big event here on June 2nd to the 5th. That's a very big event for our community. We have the Water Dirt Festival, August 1st to the 15th, the Cooking Fest, Taste of the Valley, and of course our Ramble. So everything's just coming together. Everything's in the planning, but everything's coming together. So it's an exciting year. Just jot those dates down and keep it in your planner to make sure you attend and have some good community fun. Thank you.
Questions on the minutes? Councillor Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would it be possible, Councillor Roots, just to get a little more information on, under your new discussion, point 4, where you refer to the business sponsorship program? Can you idea what that's about?
Yes, thank you. That was brought forward, I believe, by Valerie Hiska. She was just looking for more clarity, making sure that the money for events was better explained on per value. So say if she was sponsoring an event, she was making sure she was getting the breakdown, see exactly what she was getting for her dollar. And that's what that was about. It was good, a good discussion. And I just wanted clarity. She's a big sponsor in our community, just making sure that she's knowing exactly what she's getting for her sponsorships. I hope that answers everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions on the minutes? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Seniors Advisory Committee meeting of March 4th, 2026. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the Seniors Advisory Committee meeting held on March 4th, 2026 be adopted as information. Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a pretty straightforward recap of what happened at our meeting, and we are moving forward with our various initiatives. Open to answer any questions should members have them.
Questions on the Seniors Advisory Meeting minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have a staff report. PL-10-2026, application for purchase of Shoreline Road Allowance 84 Point Henry Trail. Melanie.
Good evening. So as outlined in the report, the town has received a request from the Mullins family, the owners of 84 Point Henry Trail, to purchase the Shoreline Road Allowance adjacent to their property. There are 2 dwellings, seasonal dwellings, and several accessory structures built on the Shoreline Road Allowance, built decades ago. Purchase of the Shoreline Road Allowance would rectify these legacy encroachments. Both adjacent sections of the allowance, the neighbors on either side, have previously been closed and sold to those landowners. So staff initiated the process prescribed by bylaw The immediate neighbors were sent letters notifying of this request to purchase. We didn't get a response from one. The other neighbor was supportive. Council's approval in principle is required before we can proceed any further. Just a little in the report, in the discussion section, there's a little bit of history on shoreline road allowances. They were created around major bodies of water decades ago. The idea was to maintain public access to water. Over time, many shoreline road allowances have been, well, they call it stop and closed, and shoreline road allowance sold to property owners. There are still some remnants of them here and there, everywhere, including throughout the town of Petawawa. What happens in some circumstances is people don't realize there's a shoreline road allowance and they treat it as their own property. Sometimes we get these legacy encroachment issues where people really weren't sure what their property was and wasn't. So shoreline road allowance closures are pretty common in the planning world. Bylaw 1384 of 21 sets out the criteria that council is to consider when contemplating such a request to purchase. The criteria are outlined in the report. Things council has to think about is if we use the shoreline road allowance for public purposes. Is it continuous part of a waterfront road allowance? Like, could it be used for a road in the future? Is the use of the land being adversely affected by not owning this waterfront road allowance? Are the neighbors affected? Are there environmental concerns? What are the land uses around? Again, all outlined in the report. And in this case, there is no means of accessing this road allowance unless by boat or cross on the applicant's property. The portions of the road allowance, as I mentioned before, have already been sold on either side of this property. There are legacy encroachment issues, so if this property was to be sold or transferred in the future, there could be legal issues with that. The one neighbor was supportive, no response was received from the other neighbor. Minimum water setbacks are not met by the existing structures, but this is a legacy issue. It is an area of residential and senior residential uses. We did reach out to the Ministry of Natural Resources. They responded that they do not provide comments on site-specific proposals, so they had no comments. And the applicant agrees to bear all of the costs to make this transfer happen. So basically, the council is supportive in principle of this idea. We carry on with the process outlined in that 2021 bylaw, which is to get the shoreline road allowance surveyed, then get an appraisal to establish the fair market value. We follow our surplus lands process to post a notice that the town is considering making these lands surplus. I will come back to you with another report when all these steps are done and when we know what the fair market value is. And then basically the lawyers would affect the sale. Financial implications. So the applicants would be required to pay the town the fair market value of the subject lands, and they would bear all the costs to make this happen: the survey, the appraisal, the advertising, and all the legal fees. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Melanie. Questions on the report? Deputy Mayor Simon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Melanie, for your review of the criteria in the staff analysis. I see no reason why we wouldn't support it, and I am in favor.
Councillor Kernan.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I will support this application as well.
Further questions or comments? Okay, if everybody's comfortable, I need a motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor Simon, seconded by Councillor Carmody. The council supports, in principle, the closure of the shoreline road allowance and sale to the adjoining owners in accordance with the provisions of bylaw 1384/21 and directs staff to continue the closure process and arrange for the sale and transfer of subject lands. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Melanie. Okay, next we'll go to councillor reports. You want to do the airport one when it's just your regular?
Sure.
Okay. So we'll start with Deputy Mayor Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll wait until the end of the month, but I did want to talk about the surveys that we received from the Petawawa Pantry, and I know you're going to speak more in detail about that in a few moments, but I do want to encourage anyone who has got capacity to support our families living in the town of Petawawa with food insecurity issues to do so. Times are tough, and food is one of our basic rights to ensure that we function well and do what we need to do. And we serve a lot of kids through that, as well as a lot of families, and the need is only increasing. So thanks to everybody who's done anything to support our Petawawa Pantry in the future, and I encourage residents to continue to keep that organization in the forefront of what they're looking at doing to help make a difference in the town of Petawawa. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Councillor Kern.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I can report that on May 6th, Wednesday, May 6th, I attended McDonald's in town here for a couple of hours and handed out food at the drive-thru and took orders and all kinds of stuff. And then on May 13th, I attended the grand opening of Dante's Delicatessen in Petawawa.
Thank you. I hope you didn't meet any ordinary customers.
No, just happy ones.
It was McHappy. Councillor Thursday.
Thank you, Mayor Service. On May 5th, I participated in the Dress Day Walk. This was the highest turnout yet. There was over 60 people who attended and participated in the walk and ceremony that followed. And on May 13th, I attended Dante's Delicatessen grand opening. I had the best sandwich I've had in a long time. Highly recommend. And then that evening, I participated in a Pride Community Planning meeting. So down to the last few days before that big event. And I also met with a group in the community who is organizing the second annual Pride Walk to happen right before our event, so about 4 p.m. at the Doghouse Brewery business parking lot. And then on May 14th, I participated in the Moose High Campaign Day Walk, and this was a smaller group of allies, but I want to thank specifically the OPP for their support of this event. We had an officer walk with us the whole walk. We had a very special cruiser come and park with the Every Child Runners rapping on it. They attended the ceremony, they spoke with us. It was really beautiful community building, and the whole time this group of allies, we discussed how to make this community a safer place. So that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bismarck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report this time. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the 6th of May, I attended the Seniors Advisory Committee meeting. And then on the 9th of May, I dropped in and kind of took in the Petawawa event that's happening and took race the town river. It was very exciting to watch. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rivers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the CAO for putting this on the agenda as well. Just want to speak a bit to council, yourself, and especially our residents about the 2026 Q1, quarter one snapshot at the Pembroke Canary Airport. So just a little recap of the Pembroke Canary Airport. It serves the Upper Lower Valley, and it's the only certified airport between Perth and North Bay. And that's very important because it sets a standard for aviation and for all sorts of services that can be provided by a certified airport. And it's currently owned by the 6 municipalities, and it's a critical transportation hub for Renfrew County, supporting medevac operations, military exercise, business aviation, tourism. And the airport operates, which is a lot of people don't know, but it's 24/7, 365 days a year, and it has a 5,000-foot runway capable of handling a variety of aircraft. The supporting municipalities that own and operate the airport is the town of Deep River, town of Laurentian Hills, town of Petawawa, city of Pembroke, township of Laurentian Valley, and the township of the Whitewater region. In quarter one, we've seen some activity with the Quebec Dam Patrol, which is very important for keeping a very good watch on our dams. Ministry of Natural Resources did the Moose Survey operations in January and February. And just this past week, they operated 2 days of fish stocking for our local lakes and rivers, which is, again, very important for the whole operations of our waterways. The OPP continued to operate the young offender transportation operations out there. Walmart Canada flew in with their nice jet for a store walk and look at potential expansions and businesses in that area of business. Trans-Canada pipeline patrol activity, and that's where they keep an eye on the whole pipeline across the whole entire area, making sure that everything's operating totally efficient there. The Q1 numbers, we had a total of 303 aircraft movements. I sometimes get asked from council members about that, so I want to make sure that we're always keeping everyone informed about that. Charter flights, we had 34. Civilian flights, 109. DND, military, 136. MNR flights, 12. Medevac, 12. Community served, 18, and entirely in Brantford County. And the something else that we're very proud of too, the runway, Project Runway, we're now at the $250,000, very close to that, donated by the local community as well. The airport continues to play a very important part in supporting emergency services. We had the chief officer up here from our paramedics, and he was talking about the importance of our airport as well from Brantford County. And in Q1, there was 12 medevac flights operating through the airport, helping connect patients to urgent medical care when time-sensitive transportation is very, very important. So those are just some highlights I want to bring forward to council as well. May 5th, I attended a PBAN meeting, and topics of this meeting were town commercial curbside collection, updated presentation, and that was from Trevor Wiki, and that was good because it was delayed, so it was nice to have that come back to the group and the business owners to get a real look at what's going on with their with their collection services at curbside. We also had a local business discussion, things that are happening in our community. Just a reminder, our container market is now open, so make sure you get out to support the small entrepreneurs in our town. And we had some Petawawa sign dialogue as well. May 6th, I attended a Cogeco TV open house. It's always nice to get out to support the local Cogeco TV. They're always out and about supporting everyone in our area with our community events, so I thought it was important to stop in and say hi. May 13th, I also, with other council members, went to the Dante Deli for his grand opening, and I wish him and his entire staff and team there all the best of luck, and I know success will only grow there. Also from the Ottawa Valley Waste Recovery Board, the large item collection for residential properties for the town of Petawawa is the week of May 25th to the 29th, which is our regular collection date. And just a reminder that items should not be placed out to curbside until May 24th. This is a great service for our residents, and please comply to the list of items that are eligible for pickup. This makes things roll a lot smoother for our team at work. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and staff.
Thank you, Councillor Roots, and thanks for the additional airport update. It's always good to hear what's going on down there at the airport. Okay, on May 6th, I was also at McAfee Day manning the drive-through window, and every year I do it, I can't believe how fast-paced and stressful that position really is. The cars don't stop coming, and they come fast. So I appreciate, every time I'm there, I appreciate how hard they work inside of McDonald's. And a lot of funding was raised for McAfee Day as well, so a good cause. On May 7th, we had a Highway 17 expansion meeting with members of Brantford County Council, and I don't really want to go on a huge rant here, but it was a very disappointing meeting in terms of timelines. We know back in 2019, MPP Yakubuski had a huge announcement with great fanfare about how the extension from Armpire to Renfrew was going to be completed, and it won't be long. And then 7 years later, our new MPP, gave the same announcement in 2026. 7 years later, basically saying the same thing, only 7 years after the fact. There are some key points here that were learned in a subsequent meeting the county staff had with the MTO staff, the Eastern Regional staff. So usually when a section of highway like this is completed, they do a design, build, finance model, which is all-encompassing, and it deals with all of the crossings by gas pipelines and other utility entities. However, and whatever the reason, they're not going to pursue the design, build, finance model for this stretch of the highway. What they're doing is a detailed design assignment, which is just the road itself being designed. And what it omits are all the third-party crossings, permits, and approvals, which would be outstanding. So like Canada Pipeline and all the other utilities will not be encompassed in this detailed design assignment. So those would have to be done separately after the fact. The Indigenous consultation, which usually commences during the preliminary phase, is not going to be commenced until after the completion of the design. This design, the RFP is just going out now and will not be awarded till the fall of 2026. They think it might take 2 years to do the design, and then the Indigenous consultation will begin. The present plan is to split this section of road from Arnprior to Renfrew into 5 distinct individual segments, and for the bidding to be done on 5 segments. Now that doesn't mean that one company can not bid successfully on all 5 and get to work on all 5 of them, but there is always some concern when there's 5 segments that it might extend the length of the project. A possible date given for completion was 2038. 2038. They're also looking at the Storyland intersection, which is past the present portion of the road that's being twinned. And they're going to take 2 years to come up with some kind of design for that intersection, which I guess is a good thing, that they're looking at that intersection ahead of time for the next phases. Up here in our area, we have been advocating and campaigning the provincial government to begin the 4-laning of our section from Deep River to Meadville to account for the huge increase in traffic with Garrison, CNL, and all of the other businesses up here in our end. And one of the proposals put forth by Renfrew County was the 2+1 system that they're piloting up in Northern Ontario. At this meeting, the provincial government basically said, forget about the 2+1 pilot. In the end, it's going to cost just as much as twin. So they're not looking at that as an option. The county has also asked MTO about doing some traffic studies, not only in our section in the highway, but at the intersections around here, which we know create all kinds of havoc with traffic, accidents, and unfortunately deaths in our area. We also asked for some advanced signal lighting before all of these intersections where there's lights. We've asked the province to put advanced signals like they have at Highway 41 and at Piquette Road. What they have said is that they need supporting data in order for them to put up these advanced signals. So the county asked MTO, will you consider doing some updated traffic studies at the intersection? And MTO said they're considering it. So that is where we stand. And I find it very disheartening, and I'm almost appalled at the lack of empathy for the citizens here in Renfrew County traveling on Highway 17 in its present state. It's dangerous, it's unsafe, and I think we expect more of our provincial government in terms of protecting our citizens up here. So we're going to keep advocating, we're going to keep going to the various ministers and ministries to see if we can find a way to get this development moved a little quicker. On May 8th, I attended the May Day Annual Child Care and Early Years Conference and brought greetings from the town of Petawawa. It was great to see almost 500 early childhood education workers from all the daycares and early on centers from all across the county. Very hard-working group of people and vastly underpaid, but it was good to see them getting together and sharing information. On May 12th, the CAO and I, along with several of our directors from our various departments, met with the Canadian Forces Housing Association members. We had the Eastern Regional Director here and a couple other staffers to talk about all of the RHU federal housing that's being proposed here at Petawawa. So it was great to have that group of people here who are directly involved in how many homes, what type of homes, where they're going to be put, when they're going to be built, So it was great to hear some of the information that they were sharing. All they know for sure is that there's 82 units being constructed this year. Some of them on the Norristown site and some of them here on the Southtown site. But there is a huge plan proposed for going forward with many 40-unit apartment buildings, 12-unit apartment buildings, and rows of townhomes, which could eventually reach by phase 2 to be 1,114 units of housing. Now, some of those units will be filled with current members who are living in what we call barracks on the active side of the base. They would like to get those individuals off the active side and either into the north side or the south side town site. But it was great to have them here to share not only what they're doing, but also to share some of our concerns in terms of all that extra housing and all the extra people it will bring to our town and the effects it'll have on childcare, healthcare, our roads, traffic, water, wastewater. And it was great to hear their plans and how they're going to work with us in terms of making sure that all of those stresses are managed and controlled properly. It was a great first step, for sure. May 13th was County Council. May 15th, thank you, Deputy Mayor, for representing me at Dante's Delicatessen. 2 days later, I did go to check it out, and the lineup was outside the door and onto the sidewalk. So I wish Dante all the success, and also want to thank him for taking a chance on one of our newest immigrant families here in Petawawa. He hired somebody and gave them a chance, which is great to see, because they basically did not have a resume, because they had never worked before. So thanks, Dante, for doing that. Also on that day, CBC Television was here to do a piece on the federal housing here in Petawawa. So they asked me if I would go on and give the point of view from the town of Petawawa in terms of what this 1,114 potential new housing units will mean to the town of Petawawa. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what they put on. And finally, I'd just like to speak about the Petawawa Pantry and how important it is, what an important resource it is for the town of Petawawa. They've released their 2025 statistics, and unfortunately, some of these stats are rather shocking. Although we shouldn't be too surprised considering the state of the world today and the state of the economy. We know that prices are high on everything, gas, and especially food. Just to give you a couple, total visits to the pantry in 2025 were 2,191, up from 1,804. That's a 21% increase. The number of households served went from 286 to 326, 14% increase. Number of total persons who have benefited from the food went from 3,826 to 4,420, which is a 16% increase over 2024. Emergency food visits went from 317 to 449, which is a 42% increase. And we do have our Petawawa Pantry now has a delivery service, and it went from 66 deliveries in 2024 to 188 deliveries. So that's somewhat concerning that there are that many members of our community that need assistance. But what I guess the good news part of this story is we are a very generous and giving community. The total number of financial donations went from 583 to 657. Food donations are still staying steady. Big thanks to Hiskas, Starbucks, Food Basics, who are part of the Second Harvest program. They actually donated 51,609 pounds of food, up from 42,513. So it's great to see our local businesses are supporting that as well. The Petawawa Pantry also donates food to many of the other entities in our area. So it's great to see that not only are we helping our own community, but we're helping the other communities around us. And the volunteers, we have 53 volunteers there that donated 10,225 total hours towards the Petawawa Pantry. So it's concerning that we need that much support and we need that much help, but it's great to see that our community gets behind this in terms of volunteering their time, volunteering, donating money, and donating food. So I'll repeat what Deputy Mayor Savard said. If you are capable, any chance you get, donate financially, donate in terms of food, and if you can donate some time to the Petawawa Pantry, that would be much appreciated as well. And together we can help take care of the members of our community who are less fortunate and need that kind of support. Deputy Mayor Savard.
Thank you, Councillor. That was well said, and thank you very much for reiterating those important statistics. I'd also like to give a shout out to Mary Brownstone, who also makes donations, and we very much value all of the businesses who support, and all folks who do all other kinds of things, maybe not volunteering directly or donating directly, but who do things like golf tournaments. And I'd like to just give a shout out to Councillor Driscoll, because he's been doing that for a few years, and it's really important that other communities involved.
Thanks for filling in the gaps. I'm sure there's some other businesses as well that donate food and money and time. And thanks again, Councillor Driscoll, for organizing your golf tournament and getting those proceeds to the Petawawa Pantry. Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, sir. Just on that note, I forgot to say in my council reports, July 25th this year is there to be our 4th annual golf tournament. So we have a goal this year of $9,000, which will put us over $30,000 for the last 4 years. So if you're looking to get your team signed up, you can contact me or any of our social media pages. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have nothing for close. I need a motion for the confirming bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that bylaw 1836/26 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa bylaw 1836/26, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on May 19th, 2026, be read first, second, and third time and passed. This constitutes first, second, and third reading short of bylaw 1836/26, this 19th day of May 2026.
I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the meeting adjourn to the call of the mayor. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.